Sheepdog Smokey here, and we're looking at another one that is honestly, it, for me, this is the "what are you smoking" category. Of course, with Vox, who knows what's going on whenever they write anything. But apparently, Ecuador legalized gangs, and supposedly murder rates have plummeted. Now, this is not related. You could call any organized group of people a gang. In fact, if you go back and watch the old movie Renaissance Man, Jackson Leroy is telling his story about growing up in an area with heavy gang activity. He says, so I joined this gang. I believe it was Jackson. It may have been another character, but he says, so I joined this gang. There's literally a song called Me and My Gang by Rascal Flatts. In the loosest sense of the term, a gang is a club. And that's all it is. But apparently they're saying that because Ecuador has legalized gang membership, I'm going to move this over a bit. Because Ecuador has legalized gang membership, murder rates have plummeted. Well, there's got to be more to it. Because it says in 2007, the crime riddled nation of Ecuador did something surprising. It legalized the gangs that had been the source of much of the violence. Then something even more surprising happened over the next decade. Murder rates plummeted. Just saying it's legal to be a member of this organization does not all of a sudden make people say, well, I'm going to obey the law now. Because I can bet you any amount of money you want to bet that at the present time, and all the way back 12 years and further than that, murder has been and is still illegal in the country of Ecuador. Ecuador's approach to violence reduction is about as far away as you can get from America's, which tends to criminalize gangs. No, we don't. No one says you're arrested because you're a member of the Bloods or the Crips or whatever. You are arrested for your actions, whether you're a member of a gang or not. If you steal, if you assault, if you rape, if you kill, if you run a stop sign, you are held responsible for your actions. Now, yes, RICO has been used against criminal organizations, be it the Italian mafia or be it a West Los Angeles or an East Los Angeles gang. It doesn't matter. They use RICO because they can charge conspirators. Okay, they can get larger convictions because right now, I don't know that the Bloods and the Crips are as active as they were in the 1980s and 90s, but if we know that there is an East Los Angeles Hispanic gang and they are actively always planning something, if we know that there is a gang of white supremacists and they are actively planning crimes, RICO allows you to charge the entirety of the organization. It's also been used against what we call organized crime. It's also been used against other organizations because it allows you to charge a great number of people for the same crimes. It also removes the impetus of proving each individual person did it by you proving the organization planned and executed it. Basically, you say the ringleader told people what their jobs were, be it redirecting traffic, causing a traffic light to go out, blocking a street, opening a garage door so someone could get in or out. It doesn't matter. All of it went to the same end. Now, it says, to be clear, just being a member of a gang is not illegal. See, they do bring that out. But because many gang members are known to engage in illegal activity, U.S. law enforcement targets people it suspects of being gang members. I'm going to say something a bit controversial here. Profiling works. And before anyone jumps down my throat on this, profiling is not always racial. Yes, when you get a report that a 6'2" white man in his early 40s driving a certain vehicle and wearing a certain outfit has done something, you don't look for 75-year-old, 5-foot-tall Mexican women. It's just stupid to do that. I don't know any police department that's going to have that. But we have people who scream about profiling as if to say, I don't care if we have video that shows the exact identity of this person and we know who they are. You have to pick up as many white men and as many white women and all of these other racial identities because it's unfair to go looking for the person who did it. Profiling works if you know that they happen to enjoy certain leisure activities, if you know that they happen to be involved in certain organizations, be it a country club, a group of friends who like karaoke, or the Bloods or the Crips or whoever. You look for those things, and you tend to find your person. It uses large gang databases, especially common in cities like New York and Chicago, to round up young people, often from poor communities of color. They may be deported or imprisoned for years. When we talk about criminalizing gangs, we're talking about this punitive approach. This is the same BS that says, I don't care if you know it was a 5'8" Hispanic man in his 20s. You have to pick up white men in their 40s and white women in their teens, and you have to pick up everybody. No, you don't. Profiling works. If you know that they are organized with MS-13, then you watch MS-13. A database of criminals is not anything wrong. If you know you have an organization that regularly takes part in criminal activities, then you're going to watch that organization. In Ecuador, the unprecedented approach to legalize gangs across the country was basically a decision to adopt the opposite attitude. The country allowed the gangs to remake themselves as culture associations that could register with the government, which in turn allowed them to qualify for grants and benefit from social programming, just like everyone else. I hate those words, social programming. That is literally, you will begin to think the way we want. You will begin to do everything we want. Yes, it's a good thing that they are allowing people to qualify for grants to beautify their neighborhood. But honestly, you shouldn't have to register as an organization with the government. You should be able to say, I live in this neighborhood, me, an individual, a citizen, and I would like to apply for a grant to repair park equipment, to install better play equipment for the children, to fix potholes, and everything and anything in between. The approach appealed to David Brotherton, a sociologist at City University of New York, who's been arguing since the 1990s that the U.S. policy wrongly pathologizes gang members. So in 2017, a decade after Ecuador legalized gangs, he headed over there to conduct ethnographic research on major groups like the Latin kings and queens. It turned out they'd undergone a stunning transformation. The members were still very active in their gangs, but they were functioning more like social movements or culture groups. Previously, Latin kings were working in everything from catering to crime analysis. Previously, violent Latin kings were working at everything from catering to crime analysis, and they were collaborating with other gangs they had warred with in the past. This goes on, and honestly, this is a very long article that I'll link in the description if you want to read it. But this comes down to something that is not really discussed as far as I can see in here. Just saying your organization is legal does not all of a sudden take a violent young person and make them decide, I want to get involved in catering. It doesn't, and it never will. Just saying, oh, yes, Bloods and Crips, you're now a legal organization. Who cares? You have to target the individual. You remove the violent and the thug. You remove the murderers and rapists and thieves from society. Gang members or not, I don't care. You break the law, you do the time. If you remove those influences from the very young in those gangs and you replace them with positive influences like maybe community organizers who go in and teach them how to paint or how to repair a car engine or anything that is of benefit to society, and those young people begin to see, yes, I can be associated with people of my own color or my own heritage or just in my own neighborhood, but I can still be a productive member of society. You don't have to say you're legal now, because that won't stop any of the problems that we see. What's also not discussed here is the massive disparity between Ecuador and New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. In New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, these are people literally seeing people who live a block or two away living a very affluent life. You look at Los Angeles, they live in East Los Angeles, and they see people living in Bel Air, Hollywood, and all of these other places living in mansions. And they see the city pandering to them, putting their names on a star on a walkway in downtown, giving them awards for lying on screen. And they see nothing coming to their neighborhood. Maybe if the mayor of Los Angeles decided, you know what, I'm not going to honor someone who lied about something on screen, I'm going to use this money to beautify Watts. I'm going to repair potholes. I'm going to go in and I'm going to make sure the schools are secure. I'm not going to tack up a stupid sign. Maybe if they would just realize that the individuals want to be recognized as individuals of value. And no, this does not mean you have to go in and pander to them and just blow smoke up their butts about everything and anything you want. You still hold them responsible. You bring in people like police officers, firefighters, social workers, teachers, doctors, lawyers, and they all reinforce the same thing, that you have great potential in this life, but you must earn what you want. You can't just take it. That if you obey the law, yes, at times you may be spoken to by a police officer. I'm a white male. Can't change that. I've been stopped by police many times in my life. Only once have I actually gotten a ticket, and even then, one day, 2 instances, 12 hours apart. Same cop, both tickets for 1 mile an hour over the speed limit. Those were both dropped. He didn't like it. I don't go through his part of town anymore. But I was respectful to the officer. Whether I knew him or not, I was respectful of the fact that he had a position of authority. When these children grow up hearing songs like F the Police, and they see people like Snoop Dogg or the rest of them telling them that the man is keeping them down, they harbor a lot of anger. And when that anger boils out, they act out. Maybe if we gave these so-called celebrities a knock down a peg or two and told them quit telling children that other people are responsible for all of the ills in their lives. Maybe spend some of your millions on going into those neighborhoods. Look to one of your own, Michael Jordan. I still argue he's the best in the game. Yes, there are others that came before him that may have been better. I never watched them. I saw Jordan. You know what Jordan does? He goes to these children and he runs basketball camps. And he tells them that there's ways to get out of a poor life. Shaquille O'Neal talks about growing up very, very poor. Now he works to ensure children know there are good ways out of this. A man that lives in my state, not very near anymore, Chuck Norris. Beside all the jokes, Chuck Norris runs a lot of martial arts programs that very much resemble Mr. Miyagi, where he teaches them you're not here to learn to fight. You're here so that you don't have to fight. Yes, you know how to defend yourself, but you're here because this will help you grow strong in mind and body. It keeps you off the streets. From what I remember hearing years and years ago, if a student was struggling and was in one of those programs, the people would rally around the student and help them. So this was his way of making sure kids didn't choose crime and drugs and everything else. They chose to spend their time with him, just as the children chose to go to basketball camp and learn from one of the greatest players of our generation. So rather than saying we need to make things legal, why not actually do something that will help? Why not tell the mouthpieces of Hollywood, stop just spouting off at the mouth and actually do something? Go into these neighborhoods and show these people that there are options that are not criminal actions. Because just saying the gang is legal does not change the fact that murder, rape, assault, theft, and so on still are. I'm not holding out much hope for any of that to happen because, of course, we have an entire segment of population, unfortunately, with a very large pulpit, who seem to do nothing but tell half or more of the population of this country they are evil bigots simply because we disagree with them. For 8 years, we were told, he won, you lost, get over it. For 8 years, I was told, the election's over, man, just move on. But now for more than 2 years, it's been nothing but give me my way. Give me my way. You're an evil bigot because you don't obey me. Stuff like this won't work. It works in Ecuador because the people who they were stealing from and so on, they were poor too. So when they were given government money, that actually elevated their position. It wouldn't do the same thing here, and it never will, at least not unless the Democrats get their way and just import the entirety of the poor from the entire planet into our country driving us to be an Ecuador, a Haiti, or worse. But that's my opinion. I've said enough. Make sure to let me know what you think. Just keep it classy and keep it civil. We do not learn a thing from each other when we argue, but we do if we debate. As always, make sure to leave a like and a subscribe so you stay up to date with the content here. I'm trying to put more out every day. I'm trying to stay consistent, but as always, real life does intervene. I'm getting closer and closer to the series I've been teasing you with, where I will be addressing not the news, but I will actually be discussing American history. So keep your eyes out for that. It will be its own playlist. But you won't know about it unless you're a subscriber. Finally, there will be an email address in the description below. If you have a content request that you'd like to see discussed, send it to that email address, contact@sheepdogsmoky.com. If I pick it, I will contact you, and if you would like, I'll send you a copy of the United States Constitution in pocket form. But until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.